Uganda. Uganda is cause of environment of Uganda. Uganda. Uganda is cause of environment of Uganda.
Indeed, Uganda is gifted by nature. The lush evergreen vegetation, the tropical high forests such as the Albertine forests, Obwindi and Mugahinga in the south, Budongo in the Midwest, the lakeshore forests such as Marira and Sangobe in central, and Mount Kay forest in the north, just to mention a few, are some of the breathtaking nature reserves. These and the 70% natural forests on the private lands support thousands of plants, animals and bird species of significant importance. This rich biodiversity contributes significantly to the national development. These forests provide ecosystem values that are rarely recognized, such as groundwater replenishment through controlling runoff that equally checks on land degradation.
There are several factors that come into play. The first is that we need to look at the policy environment that leads to a denudation of that level. What is it that we are not doing in terms of policy? What is it in terms of coordination between the various ministries and other institutions to ensure that we work together to address the issues that we have seen?
These forests are sources of food, medicine, and they moderate the climate. To some, they act as cultural sanctuaries, not forgetting the aesthetic values they provide. On industrial scale, forests provide raw materials for wood-based industries, while non-timber forest products provide and support livelihood of majority of rural communities. Forests are the backbone of the tourism industry, which contributes over $600 million to the national economy annually. Whereas National Development Plan recognizes forestry as a primary growth sector for the economy, the sector is faced with several challenges. It is estimated that every year, 80,000 hectares of forests are cleared. The underlying causes include the population explosion, which is estimated to grow at a rate of 3.6%, expansion of land for agriculture, and the huge biomass energy demand that currently stands at 95% for domestic use.
Here in Nakasongola, in the center of Uganda, the overgrazing over decades has badly damaged the vegetation. The consequences of the actions by farmers here is immediate.
When we had the sound, then after about 10 minutes, the herdsman came and told me that the animals have been hit by the
thunder.
Normally these cows, when it rains, they come to
Under the tree.
try to come under the tree. We haven't known what is the problem, but it has become so rampant.
Recently, we have seen state-inspired land giveaways that have led to land use change.
In the early years of the year 2000, Uganda saw the destruction of thousands of hectares of tropical rainforests in Kalangala Islands of Lake Victoria to pave way for plantation establishments like palm oil. The land acquisition by Bidco, a foreign investor, has led to numerous public outcries. voices of pain and agony. Naalongo Chisomoka is 60 years old. She hails from Umanji in the heart of Kalangala Islands of Lake Victoria.
Emwanyi zonna ziweddewo bazirimye ziziri taata mutambuleko mutukeko wammanga alinga agenda ku luzzi mu birengere ebinankali ebyuma birimye ettale eriyo nabikoze enguudo kakati mutulaba ennyumba zino zigwa mwebuuza lwaki ennyumba zigwa tetukyalina miti gikwata ki gikwata mpewo ekisinsi bwe kiva ku nnyanja mu kyalo kitambula butambuzi ebibira biweddewo tetulinawe tuti abaluku kati.
Mabamba Forest. It is an area of a diversity of bird species. Ironically, this is an ecological site facing the devastation effects of human activities, ranging from forest degradation for subsistence agriculture to now sand mining that has transformed this former cradle of beauty to a shadow of its former self. Hundreds of people have invaded and raped this formerly thick forested area to now ditches and open gullies, pits of sand mines. Bile Musoke is the community resource custodian at Mabamba Bay.
This is Mabamba Forest. In 20 years, it was really a forest, but it was degraded by farmers and charcoal burners and sand miners.
Human greed and corrupt hearts are speeding up encroachment in a number of forest reserves dotted across the country. This is Mount Kay Central Forest Reserve, a cross-border forest resource with Sudan.
Right now we are standing in one of the new liquid areas by encroachers inside Mount Kay Forest Reserve. The encroachers cultivate the land and then later come and clear all the trees after digging and plant crops like tobacco, peanuts, cassava and simisim.
This is Mabira Forest, a natural resource that has been sitting in center of controversy following recent government degazettement demands to cut the forest and pave way for sugar plantation.
So now, I don't want to get a problem, neither do I want to get a problem.
Institutionally, we are seeing weak policy implementation, especially the forest law enforcement, conflict mandates, and coordination challenge between the mandated agencies.
Now there has been recent forest attacks from the eastern parts of the reserve. This self-styled princess sought police protection to deplete the eastern compartment of Naluvule, claiming ownership.
Wakati wetaka lya senga wange eyafana mirembe bwanga bwa mirembe luno lwali lubiri ettaka lino okujja okutwalibwa NFA baliwambe abataka abo boolaba baali balimu basasulanga obusuulu nga babuwa senga wange.
You know, Mabira was gazetted in 1932. If you imagine that time, we managed that compartment as part of Mabira up to only last year towards November, October, November, when this Mombesa came up and said that land belonged to the Kapaka.
Before then, she never came up?
Nothing completely. And we brought the lady together with the current RDC Buyukwe. By then, she was the deputy RDC Mukono. We asked the lady to bring her all our documents pertaining to that land. She never produced the proof, and that's why the RDC Buyukwe now disowned her and said she cannot produce any documentation, therefore don't disturb me about the land.
Our forest could be sustained for those who would come after us to find it so that they can enjoy its existence, because Mabira is a gift actually from God.
In the recent past, the central region has had her forest cover depleted, the thick canopy shielding important species like birds. Today, this resource has been seriously devastated. Problems of the Ho and the Panga, policy and governance issues have been neglected. Tree stumps and a forest of food crops like maize is what remains to be seen.
We are concerned about the degradation of this forest as you see it. The people have cut it down and have cultivated it, and we are suffering the consequences. So I personally wrote to NFA to request them to engage these communities into a collaborative community forest management program. They have realized that they have destroyed the forest, they have destroyed their future. Because they have no firewood. Those are poor people. Most of them have no firewood, they have no water. The heat is like what? They have no funds in their houses. So they have realized now it's the time to say, okay. Actually, when you go to talk to them, they say, so yes, they're encroachers, but let's make it part of the solution.
This is Bugoma Central Forest Reserve, covering a total land area of some 41,000 hectares and located quite close to Lake Albert in the west. Till recently, Bugoma Forest had been the richest forest reserve in Uganda. Today, this beauty seemed to be no more. Less than 2 years ago, Bugoma Forest saw an invasion of thousands of encroachers descending on what the country used to boast of. The gift of nature is no longer the same.
We are in Bugoma Central Forest Reserve in compartment MU6, which is adjacent to Nyairongo village in Kaboya sub-county. What you are seeing behind me here is the kind of destruction that had taken place in Bugoma Central Forest Reserve. Over 1,500 encroachers had entered illegally into this part of Bugoma, which is compartment MU6. We managed to evict them, but the damage that had already been done is more than, it is between 5,000 to 7,000 hectares.
These heartless people, all claiming to be veterans, have formed an association armed with pangas and chainsaws to bring down several thousands of hectares of natural trees. The damage inflicted on the reserve is enormous and detrimental. Tulipona, survivors of war, as the word suggests, is a group of ruthless Ugandans, all of them disguising to be army veterans, entered the forest, destroying all that stood in their way and dished the forest land to themselves. What remains to be seen is tree stumps and rice paddies like these.
There are some people who mislead them.
They are renting out these lands for just small amount, like 300,000.
Most of them were veterans. And the others who came, those ones who were civilians, were brought by the chairman, LOC3, the name is Mukoto. Mukoto, and this veteran called Gideon.
He's then leading the Tulipona group.
But we arrested him.
And I don't believe a sound and normal veteran, a nationalist, can do this act.
It is sad.
It is sad, very absurd. Otherwise, those ones would be perpetrators of evil. When we recorded about 14 blocks which have been divided here. And this is one of the blocks being manned by the so-called veterans. Therefore, it means veterans also came in as an association to take over the advantage which was there. Because among the 14 blocks, only one is under the veterans. The rest are under Wananchi. It is a disaster. This, what I would say, the virgin forest remaining is smaller than the raped forest. The forest has really been raped of its virginity and needs restoration.
The local politicians are disgusted and warn the situation could erupt into social conflict or even war.
There is a limit for everything. I would be at pain to one time spearhead a force to fight against other Ugandans who have come to destroy forests here. And it will be bloody if it comes to that. We are serious mobilizers. If we mobilize the indigenous people against those other people who have come to cut the forest, it will be a big war here.
Being a veteran does not mean you should settle anywhere. You should not settle anywhere. If you are a veteran, then that means you are a custodian of law. You should be law abiding. They should be out of Bugoma. Where did they come from? They should go back to where they came from. And honestly speaking, sometimes they want to get these pieces of land to sell off. They don't want to settle there. I know everybody, before even they went to fight, they came from somewhere. They should go back and settle there.
The president was very serious on this issue. He was emphatic. He told us that he would not withstand a situation where forests in Bunyoro are destroyed, that every effort will be put in place to ensure that these forests are secured.